Hello and welcome back, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed a short break and the interactive session before. Taking a look into the future throughout the future visioning and met new people, maybe even in our first networking round. Now we would like to invite you to dive into a selection of case studies that were conducted throughout the past 4 years, and we will also present some of the tools we developed here at the Textile Prototyping Lab. You will have the chance to choose and move between 2 panels, each having a different focus. The panel Boosting the Entrepreneurial Economy takes a look at 3 case studies focusing on the development of high-tech textiles in co-creation with professionals and companies from the industry. This panel is moderated by Marte Henschel, who is a serial entrepreneur and an ideational leader and sustainability expert in platform creation and responsible sourcing. She specialized in co-creation formats and change processes and applying digital technologies to industries in flux. Currently, she works as a CEO at Sketch. Panel 2, Unlocking Talents, looks at the possibilities the TPL provides for young talents and creatives to develop their ideas in an environment which enables and supports their vision. The panel is moderated by Lucy Norris, who is an anthropologist exploring material culture, ecologies, design, and sustainability. She's also a guest professor of design and research and material culture at Weißensee Academy of Art. Both panels will conclude with a panel discussion where we again invite you to participate, get involved, and ask you questions to the panelists. Throughout the panels, we are sharing with you in the chat the websites of the speakers so that you can have a deeper look into their work after this event. How can you join? Again, you find the panels in the sessions area here in Hop-In. And they're accessible via the menu on the left-hand side. After the closing of the panels, we will have a pause and again invite you to use the time for the one-on-one networking and meet new people here under the networking section in Hop-In. And now, please enjoy the 2 panels Boosting the Entrepreneurial Economy and Unlocking Talents.
All right. While more guests are proceeding to our panel today, I would love to kick off the first panel introducing case studies in this symposium today called Boosting the Entrepreneurial Economy. And I'm very, very pleased to be hosting this panel as a moderator. So first of all, thanks for having me. My name is Marte Henschel. I'm a designer and tech entrepreneur myself. I'm a lecturer and consultant, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Sketch, a B2B software as a service sourcing technology for sustainable clothing production. A warm welcome. I also welcome today's speakers, Karina Wirth and Facundo Gutierrez, who I will have the pleasure to introduce in a second. But first up, I would like to outline the context of this particular panel to you. As most of you know, the Textile Prototyping Lab offers numerous spaces, modules, resources, and infrastructure for designers, researchers, entrepreneurs, and also corporate industry partners to explore innovative concepts and applications, use cases, and business models to collaboratively shape the future of textiles. And this panel is designed to highlight the collaborative and multidisciplinary entrepreneurial approach of the TPL by introducing very different use cases to you. And after the presentations, we will have a Q&A session where also you, dear audience, are warmly invited to join the conversation actively. You can make use of the chat you will find here next to your screen. You can post questions, you can share feedback already, and to enrich the conversation following the presentations today, but you can also then join the live conversation by enabling your camera. Karina will help you to do that. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Karina Wirth to you. Most of you will be familiar with Karina already, I suppose. She's a textile designer and researcher. She works at the TPL since the beginning of 2017 already. And she is her interests and expertise are in the field of innovation, structures, design, and technology. She will introduce two projects to you. First up, Plus Minus, a project TPL was running in collaboration with Studio Diaz, and Spun Cover, a project in collaboration with Peppermint. Our other dear panelists of today is Facundo Gutierrez. He's the co-founder and managing director at Motorskins, and he's responsible for design and product development. Facundo will introduce Motorskins and himself before he presents the third use case of today, called active garments. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to Karina to introduce your work and introduce your use cases, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marte, for the nice introduction. I will share my screen now so you can see the presentation I prepared. So now everyone should see my presentation. So in case not, just let me know. So yeah, I will show you today some use cases of our panel talk, Boosting the Entrepreneurial Economy. And we have in total 3 cases we want to share with you. All in all, we had around 20 cases within the last 4 years. And we choose the 4 representatives for this now announced topic. And within these case studies, you will see how our structure we developed get applied, and also how is the way we're working. First of all, I want just quickly repeat that we are always the platform. We want to be the platform or the enabler between research, design, and industry. And that makes already a big range of users for the TPL. But today, I would like to focus on the target group of small companies, of medium-sized companies, and also creative professionals. Even the things you see, you could apply also to other target groups. So when you imagine in this big variety of application fields, as I said, research, design, and industry, and then with the different target groups, you can understand you need some tools in the back. So I would just like to mention quickly the main tools we developed within the last 4 years. So first of all, as you already heard quite a few times, we developed the infrastructure, so a real analog place with machines where you can go and prototype. The second one is the material library, where we archive all our products, projects and related samples, and also where we archive new technologies we got in contact with. It's a subjective library, I have to say, on that point. The TPL language is for us a sampling guideline we're using to have a quick prototyping and to support even non-designers to translate their visions. And the e-textiles kit is an enabler to be in the field of smart textiles and be able to prototype, but then also translate it into industrial scale. And all in, which is like combining everything in the bag and bringing everything together, is our own developed process management software, because this is an important part to be also digital connected and not just in the analog way. So I would just also like to show you quickly in theory what are the different modules we are offering. And in all these modules are in different points, the TPL tools I just explained you integrated. So there's a module of consultation, matchmaking, technology workshops. We're offering ideation workshops, design as an expertise, prototyping with our sampling guideline, and then prototyping with individual designs or materials. So now you get just some background, and I would like to show you the first case study plus minus with Stefan Dietz and Fibia. And there you see how this can be applied. First of all, just some quick facts. We had the project 2018 and 2019. It was for 4 months, so not quite a short time. And the involved labs has been a GPL Central Lab, the Focus Lab Fraunhofer IZM, and the Focus Lab STFE Chemnitz. And here you see also the modules that we used in this project. And before I explain what was the request and how everything started, I would like to hand over to a little video of Stefan Dietz where he explained it in a nice way.
So
now it's starting.
Okay. Funktioniert es noch?
Just so.
Okay. Okay. Hello, good morning. My name is Stefan Dietz. I'm an industrial designer based in Munich. And we've recently collaborated with the Textile Prototyping Lab on a project for one of our clients, Vibia from Spain, from Barcelona. We had a very crazy idea. We wanted to. We were somehow thinking about a lighting system based on a electrically conductive textile belt. And in our ideas, this textile belt would be very tear resistant. We saw it as a kind of a universal kind of a interface for applications of light sources everywhere in the room. So it should be like a belt that we know from fixing luggage, for instance, something like that. And the idea was somehow very easy, but it was very difficult for us as industrial designers to understand if it's possible to do such a kind of in product, how to get the copper wires woven into a belt in a way that they're completely invisible and isolated in a way, but also in a way that the characteristic of this belt still remains like a belt and not becoming like something very stiff or unflexible. And it was actually quite an accident almost that we came across the Textile Prototyping Lab in Berlin, because as usual, we tried to find an industrial partner. So we were looking for companies that were producing textile belts and asked them, can you make them electrically conductive? And of course, none of them did that ever before. But one of them sent us to Berlin because they said, there's a new program, maybe they can help you. And that was an extremely lucky coincidence for us, because the project as it was set up was allowing us to apply with a promising idea and then getting somehow funded and in contact with professionals from a completely different field. And there's not the pressure of being commercially successful. It was not giving us as a studio the pressure to finish as fast as possible, but it was rather the idea to just make this idea possible, bring it in alive. And so we started to collaborate with Carina Wirth, is a textile designer, now also based in Berlin, working in the Textile Lab. And it was in fact possible within a few months to bring this into reality. It's this belt here. It's one of Carina's and the Prototypes Lab's first samples. now the pattern has changed, but it's something that looks like for fixing luggage exactly how we wanted it, and but it's conductive. There's a small 6 square meter copper wires inside. So after further 2 years, we industrialized the project. It's now produced with a Catalan weaving company in an extremely convincing quality. And we 2 weeks ago, we launched the project. Karina was with us together in Barcelona, and we were getting an amazing reaction from the audience and from the media so far. And tomorrow we are launching it in Munich. So Karina is going to be there again. And I'd say we are very lucky about the result, but even more lucky or happy about that someone had this idea to bring people from different branches together in such a clever way. And I wish that someone that this kind of model will gain followers also maybe in different fields and different industries. I think it costs really little, and it has an enormous effect on the development of our creative potential in Europe. And I'm really happy that it got a really pan-European project in a way out of it, and it's like not staying in these boxes, like national boxes, but it's like becoming something more big. Yeah, thank you for having us as a first project partner on board. Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you also to Stefan Dietz at this point for its nice summary how the project started. And now I would like to take you a bit on a journey how the case study was happening. So since the project was one of our first big projects, we didn't have our modules yet finished. So in the end, we had a 2 days workshop where module 1, 2, and 3 kind of was combined. And our kickoff meeting was to clarify just the need and also the technology. So, sorry, just 1 second. Entschuldigung, ich präsentiere gerade. Könnt ihr woanders hingehen? Sorry, because I had some noises in the background. So we clarified the need that we definitely want to work with a woven textile. And that's why we decided to have a weaving workshop with the studio, because we think it's really important to acknowledge everybody, so we can have on eye-level discussions. And then we had an ideation workshop to just define the technology we want to use, like different construction ways. And in the end, we had the result of 4 belts. We wanted to present also together to Fibia and support their studio deeds. We also had some 3D parts, printed parts, where we just showed how the prototype could work in the end. And since Fibia really liked the idea and everybody was committed, which I really appreciated because we just worked with hand-woven prototypes so far, we went to the Fraunhofer IZM, our focus lab, and tested there some conductive material that was relevant for us. And there we had a specific focus on also the conductivity and the connection parts. And afterwards, we went to the second focus lab to the STFE Chemnitz, since they have the Mageba belt machine, and we could try out their different construction ways. Our focus was definitely to keep the textile look and hide the conductivity inside. So the textile should just look like a normal textile in an easy way and not as a technical textile. Also, this prototype we brought then to Barcelona and presented it again together to Fibia to discuss further options and how everything can get combined with the lamps Stefan was developing beside. And then when we decided on the construction, we definitely wanted also to design parts of the belt, because the design could also also added in the end a big value to the textile look and just to the whole design itself. So in the end, with this even more, it left the corner of a technical textile, even it is. So we went back then to the STFE Chemnitz, to our focus lab again. So you see we have always in this kind of projects different iterations where we improve and evaluate our steps. So when we went back to the STFE Chemnitz, we could go there and prototype our final designs, and also there, again, with all partners together, decide which are the favorites and produce them on 200 meter. We decided on 7 designs and bring them then 2019 also to Salon de Mobile, where they were presented on the FIBIA part about in 100 square meters and all different possibilities in combination with the lamps. And there we also won the prize style park, which was really nice for a really fast project at this point. Here you see also the pictures that show nicely how the belt got combined with the whole lightning system. And I'm really happy also to say that, just briefly, as Stefan also mentioned, the whole product came onto market. So it got launched now 2 weeks ago in Munich and Barcelona. And you see the textile didn't change much. Of course, it was translated into the complete, with all details, industrial production. But in the end, I think everything came really nice together. And the company even developed a configurator, so now it's accessible to everybody, and maybe you get in touch with it at another point. The second case study I would like to show is the project spoon cover with peppermint. Peppermint and the project itself was one of our biggest projects we did so far, and we used many modules and many partners. And we had a long journey also together, the longest one so far. 9 months was planned. In the end, it was about a year because of Corona. And as you see, all the labs are involved. And we had even support of our TPL network with Smile Initiative Plus, a graphic design studio, and Studio Boots that supported us with the workshops. So there you see also now a short video where Steffen Lüdemann from Peppermint shows you and explains you a bit what was the need and what was the request and how everything did started.
Mein Name ist Steffen Lüdemann und verantworte den Bereich Innovation and Technology bei der Peppermint. Wir entwickeln Industrieprodukte für eine nachhaltige und intelligente Zukunft. Das TPL, das kennen wir seit Entstehung und begleiten es auch. Innerhalb unseres Innovationshubs entwickeln wir eine Garntechnologie, die sogenannte Spun-Cover-Technologie. Und mit dieser Technologie sind wir in der Lage, dem Garn im Spinnprozess über Entstehung verschiedenste Funktionen zu geben, wie zum Beispiel Schnittschutz oder Leitfähigkeit, und können trotzdem den textilen Charakter aufrechterhalten. Und mit Hilfe des TPLs konnten wir dort in sehr kurzer Zeit 4 Prototypen für diese Spun-Cover-Technologie erarbeiten und bis zum fertigen Proof of Concept praktisch weiterentwickelt. Und das ist aus unserer Sicht besonders hervorhebenswert, da wir hier die ganze textile Wertschöpfungskette gespielt haben, von dem Produktdesign über die Garnentstehung bis zur Fertigung und zur Vertestung der performanten Flächen. Der angeleitete Ideation Process half uns außerhalb unseres Sichtfeldes genau diese Produktvisionen zu finden, die potenziellen Einsatzzwecke zu entwickeln und am Ende dann auch zu bestätigen. Besonders gut hat uns dort gefallen diese schnelle Umsetzung dieser Ideen innerhalb des Netzwerkes des TPLs zu den fertigen Prototypen. Und so ist es uns gelungen, 4 Szenarien in ungefähr 9 Monaten umzusetzen. Und so eine schnelle Entwicklung gelingt nur, wenn der Partner neben der Kunden- und Produktperspektive, aber vor allen Dingen auch die Technologie und die Materialität versteht. Und genau wegen dieser Kommunikation auf Augenhöhe und dem sehr guten Projektmanagement haben wir uns sehr wohl und aufgehoben im Projekt gefühlt. Danke, TPL.
So, thank you to Steffen Lüdemann also for this nice words about the TPL and for the nice explanation how everything started, and also what is spoon cover about the technology itself. So here you just see a graphic which explains it a bit in a nice way. You can understand it maybe better then. So as Stefan said already, there is a new patent that Peppermint did work on, and we decided, or we talked about together, that it would be super nice to show all the potentials that such a new technology have. But on the other hand, it's really challenging with yarn technology, especially, to show all these potentials, since it's such an abstract thing if you're not from the topic itself. So we decided together to look for scenarios and look for textiles where we can implement the yarn and make it visible what is the potential of this technology. And since we started the project in Corona times, we had to do all these workshops online. But that was not a big deal, because everybody got quite quick used to the tools, and we could still start our journey together. So we started our ideation workshop with a pre-workshop where we just tried to get to know the core team. We wanted to understand better the technology and get clearer about what should be the focus fields for the ideation workshops, since with a yarn, it seems to be that everything is possible. And besides, we also had to get used to all these new tools that now they're just normal for us. So here you can see the mind map we ended up with, and we decided to have the core focus interest in the technology details, which means the material combinations really, then also the topic smartness and sustainability. With this background, we went into our second ideation workshop. It was the main one. And there we invited all our TPL experts. That was really amazing, because that's how we got already a lot of different angles and perspectives on the potentials of this technology. With the method mix and match, we prepared some material combinations and also the three topics: technology, smartness, and sustainability, and some application fields. So everything was kind of free, but still we got some framing for the participants to develop their scenarios. And in each of the scenarios, finally in the end, there got 9 to 15 scenarios developed. So we had a big variety, and we had to look for how much impact and effort we have, and decide on 9 final scenarios. This final scenarios got then again still within this same workshop in a dashboard, which helps to bring an idea more into a concept. In a dashboard, you focus on thinking about potentials, writing down the concept, risks, what should be the next step, what is the need there, and who would be the user. So with this outcome of the workshop, 9 scenarios, afterwards we evaluated within the TPL team, also in collaboration with Peppermint, with the 6 under this 6 things, like which 9 scenarios we should take in the end. So one important thing was the timeline, so how much time you would need to develop the textile for the scenario. Do we have the resources within the TPL or also within Peppermint, and is the material there? Or then is the patent nicely shown so everybody can good understand the new technology? Is there an innovation part? What is the what are the competitions? What is the competition about? Like, what do others already in this field? And is it mostly sustainable? How could it be more sustainable? So we challenged, that was the word I was looking for, our 9 scenarios with these features. And we came up in the end then with 4 scenarios we wanted to focus on. So one was Duo Cooltex, a sunblind fabric that combines glass fiber and Pyrotex. So that means we developed a textile that is stable, that is flame resistant, and still can get colored, which is quite new in this field. And the fabric itself would be in the public space outside. The second scenario is called audio fabrics. Audio fabrics is an acoustic fabric that absorbs audio and is a combination of PBS and wool. And the textile itself is shapeable, so you can 3D shape the textile, and also flame resistant. Cozy Tex, the next one, is a heating textile, and there we combined viscose and we combined wool and Bekinox. So we had a conductive part and also a really textile haptic part, and that's really special about the heating textile, because also there it left the typical technical textile. And we imagine it in the car interior. And last but not least, Gartex. Gartex is supposed to be a wall planting system which is made out of viscose and PBS. It's also stable and really rich for nutrients. And the idea is that architects can use it in their buildings, and later on seats can implement it there to make the walls more green. So to realize these scenarios, we started with developing the yarn, and of course with Peppermint together, and used our mentioned sampling guideline. So we had not to focus on the design itself, and we could just dive into implementing a new material and combine it with the fitting textile technology related to this scenario. And yeah, when we understood everything that would work, we also focused on the design, since the design would be a really important part and a really important communication tool for Peppermint to show the potential of the new technology. So to show that for the storytelling, there are two materials and two material features combined, we decided to work with the progression as a design aspect. And depending on technology, this progression would be translated into dots or into lines. And the second part of the design, which is obviously also really important, was the color coding. Since the request was to have a timeless design and also be able to use it in certain fairs and explain the technology, we decided to make it fit nicely to the CI colors of Peppermint. And also combine always the raw color material with a color. So it would be even better to support the communication of the technology. And here you see that we not just decided randomly on the CI colors, we also thought about that the CI color still could fit to the scenario. So if you have the orange for the audio fabrics, it's still a comfortable color, which you can imagine in the interior design. Gartex has the natural green, Cozy Tex has the warm red, and blue has the cool and relaxing blue for the outdoor. So again, we had to go back afterwards to prototyping. We translated these colors into yarns. Of course, to fit, to make the perfect match between the color coding and the color of the yarn and the color in theory, it takes some while. So this was the first iteration, and we decided it's okay in that way, and to just continue and focus on implementing. So don't wonder that it's not exactly the match of the colors I showed you before. So as I mentioned already, all of our partners that has been involved in this process and in this big project. So we started in implementing the conductive yarn into the woven textile and tested at the Fraunhofer IZM how the conductivity is and how the connections could be. For the audio fabrics, we went to the STFE Chemnitz and knitted there the textile together with the partner Peppermint. And at the TTV Greiz, we could weave the cozy text, the do cool text, and the guard text. And you also see one of our partners there doing the connections and testing if after weaving everything was fine. So that was our result. We had 4 textiles that look nice together, but also really representative by themselves for their own scenario, and would help to translate the technology into something haptic and understandable. Here you see it a bit with an angle. You see that even the details of the structure of Gartex that they are matching with the concept that you can implement seeds. So you have a little plissé there. And I want to finish this little wrap up about our case study with our product catalog, because we, as I said, been focusing on the communication of the technology for peppermint and decided that it's needed to have also a product catalog that shows and summarizes the whole concept for them, so they can take this one also to fairs in combination with the textiles. So there is again the concept summarized, and you can see the scenarios that we developed, and read a little text about, see what the context was and what we described already in the workshops. And also you see all the details behind. So what is the fabric made of? Where is it made of? What is the need? Who's the user? So you have everything together with the textile. Again, the digital and the analog part together. So thank you for your attention. And now I hand back to Mate.
Thank you very much, Karina. Thanks for this very insightful and inspiring presentations. Thank you also for not only introducing the results, but also introducing how you got there. So what I take away, next to many other things from your presentation, is the holistic approach to research and development and design that you undertake at the TPL, that doesn't only cover, the pure application design, but also designing the processes, even design brand and communications. So that was really interesting. But I would like to move on to the third use case brought by Facundo Gutierrez from Motorskins. Facundo, you're also a researcher and designer, but you're also an entrepreneur. So we changed the perspective from someone inside the TPL to a partner that teamed up with the TPL to develop and roll out an application. So I would like to hand over to you, and we would like to see what you brought to the panel today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for the invitation and for having me here. So I can show you a little presentation. So I walk you through the process too. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, yes. So what I would like to show you now is give you a little bit of the background. So Motorskins, who we are and what we do, and our path that led us here and brought us to work together with TPL. What was our experience with these collaborations, and how does that look towards the future, what we want to do with it. So at Motorskins, we develop robotic fabrics with embedded fluidics, and the core of our technology are fabric systems that use pressure to create movement. So what does it mean? It means that we can do a multi-layer arrangement of fabrics and different materials, and in the middle we have an hydraulic or pneumatic circuit. And what is new about that is that depending on how we design this circuit, the samples are going to behave differently. So we can have geometries that are going to behave as an artificial muscle that shrink, or someone that can give you haptic information, for example. And as you were saying, this started as a research project. So as part of innovation master that was conducted in Humboldt University, but also with a lot of insights from Max Planck Institute. So the idea was to use some principles studied in biology, particularly in the movement of plants and seed, and how they can move in spite of being like metabolically dead. So we were analyzing the pine cone and trying to translate these these principles into fabrics that perform movement. But actually, I wanted to give you like a little bit of background of how we started, because there were like many challenges in the middle, and it's because we were like looking into exoskeletons. This is because of my background. I'm an industrial designer, and I've worked with exoskeletons before, and it's interesting because this is pretty much how we imagined them like 60-70 years ago, and it's how we do them today. But with motor skins, we wanted to design something that has a huge impact, so we can bring to daily life activities for everyone. And these machines, even though they are amazing and they're powerful, they're also intrinsically complex and expensive. So then we started looking more into what are known as soft robots, and into exosuit. So that is soft exoskeletons that have like soft configuration rather than metal parts with a lot of joints. But here there are like still a number of challenges that have to do with the materials, with the processes. So you need to build something that you want to scale up, and also with the autonomy. So how you provide the energy for this system. For solving all these challenges, we started to work with our shape-changing textiles. Those are the textiles that have like pneumatics or hydraulics inside to power movement. And after that, we start building garments with this technology. So for example, this is one of our first developments where we, oops, sorry about that. And so we put together all these parts and produce what we call an hydrodynamic massage that combines the effect of a shock absorbing cells in the insole that pump and power actuators that give you a gentle massage. So we wanted to have, all in all, like a robot inside of a sock, and that was a challenge. And on top of that, we wanted to be like super comfortable, to have a nice fit, and to be also like not a medical device, but rather something more well-being. So we wanted to keep this that the fabric brings, that is the familiarity with the material, and it could be fashionable. So if you want to show it, it looks nice, but if you want it to be discreet, can go under your garments. The problem, as I say, is like we were an interdisciplinary team with background in industrial design, engineer, biology, and material science. So we knew nothing about fabrics. Everything we learned by trial and error. And sooner than later, we learned that we needed to ask for help with experts. And that's how we got to work with TPL. Because sharing like part of the same network, we got like the Design Farm Scholarship for our project. So as part of Weißensee Kunsthochschule, then at some point they want to start telling us like, you should work with TPL, you should work with TPL. So we finally gather and we put together our first collaboration. That was a masterclass from TPL, went together with Teresa Kretsch. We had a super insightful workshop, having like all the first insights into knitting, because so far it's like, as I was saying, we started like rigid components and then 3D printing and always, and at some point we realized that fabrics were the way, but we knew very little, and we were so far working only with off-the-shelf fabrics. So we had a super nice introduction into the world of knitting and what were the possibilities, what were the different structures that we can achieve. And this was super important, because only by knowing a little bit of the technology, you can envision what are the possible results. So after the workshop, and that where we could only, it was in the middle of Corona, so we could afford having a hybrid version where some of us were meeting there with all the regulations, and some other part of the team were like in a Zoom call. I think you can see Karina there in the screen. But it was good because we could not only learn, but also touch. And that was super important to start being aware of the possibilities of the processes. And after that, TPL produced for us like a series of samples with different material and different structures. And again, I can only like highlight how important it is to work with experts, because, for example, we have like a number of challenges coming from the technical part, but also the sustainable part, because what we're doing mostly is like merging together different fabrics. And even though what we produce is much simpler than a robot, it would be ideal to have parts that you can detach. And then, for example, from the TPL team, we got this insight that we could work with pockets. And that was something that it was in our minds to do, like an architecture of a product that you can disassemble, but we thought it was like too complex and almost impossible to do. And by working with them, we realized that it was a way to go that could not only lead to a more sustainable product, but also to a simpler like process production. So we started there, like also learning like the possibilities of different working with knitting, like how it behaves so much differently than woven fabrics, for example. That is what we were using till then. And it was interesting for us because we, coming from the inspiration, we always talk about metamaterials, that is materials that can change their behavior by changing the structure. And knitting is the ultimate metamaterial, because even with the same yarn, you change the stitch and it's going to behave like super differently. So that was for us like super interesting. So after this first masterclass, we went one step further, and through TPL we got to know Born. That is a German company that is working with body-near garments, particularly with knitted for medical and sport applications. So TPL facilitated an amazing workshop for us, where all the parties, we could gather at their office, at their central lab in ITZM. And what was great about it was like how the workshop was structured. So it really facilitated like exchange of knowledge, where we as a young startup could present like our problems, our current development, but also our vision. And with the expert from TPL plus the expertise of the company, we could decide like a plan on how to act on that. Because when you have like so many challenges, it's important like to be able to identify which is the most important and to align it with your timeline and your resources. So we could really like put together in an organized way which were our competencies, our expectation, and the needs. And the outcome of that workshop was a design brief of what we wanted to produce. And what is also interesting is that in this outcome, or what we envisioned to be our first product, it already incorporates a lot of the learnings, both from the first master class and the second workshop. So as I was saying, currently we are working in the second iteration of our product. That is, again, the hydrodynamic massage, but built not with woven fabrics, but with a flatbed knitted sock. And this really boosts the fit, the efficiency of the system. But as I was saying, it's also like make like an easier production process and potentially a much more sustainable product. And this is not a crappy image, it's blurred because currently we are developing that project. It has had a slight delay because of COVID, especially by the part of the company that is producing it. But we are confident that this month we're going to have the first prototype in our hands to do the first modifications, and by the end of the year have the product. So for us, it's been like a very intense and fruitful collaboration with TPL. It was much shorter than the other projects that Karina presented, for example. So it's been mainly like about 2 workshops, but they are already paying off, and we see a lot of value on that. So as I was saying, what we see towards the future is that we want to work with the experts. We see that we are a highly interdisciplinary and motivated team, but you can never have all the knowledge that you need in-house. So it's super important to really ask someone who knows. And that's great. And what is good about TPL is not that they have knowledge in-house, but that they have the extended network. So, for example, in our case was the first step for starting working with Born. That is like, we see that in the startup community, sometimes it's easy to interact with other young companies or startups. There are a lot of possibilities for applying to cooperations with big companies, but where we see a great potential and more chances of working and really have a win-win situation is with middle-sized company, and those are the ones that are tricky to find sometimes. So it's super good to have a strong network. And again, as part of that network, to have like-minded people, so companies, institutions, and professionals that have this vision for a more sustainable future. And finally, the current state of Motorskins, we are looking now for partners. We have open conversations with at least 3 of the main producers of knitted garments in Germany. And this is, again, all part of these tiny steps of start working with the right people that start bringing warm contacts with someone who can really help you to make your dream reality. And actually, we always finish our pitch with these slides that have a little bit of the vision, where we say that in the future, Motorskins aims to be a lab for soft robots that enhance human movement. And that is because we see more our technology, not as a product, but as a technology platform. And in that view, we really not only need, but love to work with other people that can really boost innovation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Facundo. Thank you for sharing this exciting journey with us, and also congrats to all of you for being this brave. And also what I take away from that is how powerful and iterative R&D process is in regards to challenges like a global pandemic. So obviously this methodology has a lot to bring to cope with, unforeseen challenges and hurdles along the way. Thanks for sharing. And I would love, as we are running a bit out of time, we have a few minutes left, so allow me to already shoot my first question. Yes. And again, for the audience, you can make use of the chat here next to your next to the screen here. Please use this opportunity to join the discussion here with these 2 experts we have on the panel. Also, if you want to join the conversation live, please raise your hand. Karina can unmute your mic, because this is a small round here, and we would love to have a bit of a interactive human touch here on the forum. A first question is, I would like to shoot to both of you, Facundo and Karina. And as you said, the extended network of TPL is pretty powerful, but we all know how challenging it can be to scale up a concept from a market-ready prototype onto serial production and market entry. So Stefan Dietz also mentioned in his talk in your presentation, Karina, that it was hard to find manufacturers at first place to ramp up the idea. So probably Facundo and Karina, can you share a bit what would be needed from your point of view to take the next steps after this project is finalized with TPL?
Sorry, you mean the next steps of the project of TPL or of their project?
of their project, Facundo, of your product, how to scale up, how to ramp up, what would you need? Is it easy to find manufacturers? Is it easy to roll out this product to the market, or what would be needed from your perspective?
Okay. So I go first. Yeah. First, like I totally agree with Stefan. There are like the scale-up challenges are a lot and all over. I would say like regarding like from the startup perspective and the manufacturer, and the biggest challenges are like of course you have challenges with resources and with the budget that you have for develop that, but the biggest obstacle is time most of the time, because as especially when we are working in a project that is so out of the box, let's say, you need to iterate a lot of time, and you need to do it fast. And generally, your times are not the times of the producer, because for them it's like developing like one prototype in 1 to 3 months. It's okay, but for you in a startup, you need to have like 4 iterations because you need to learn from each. So what you need is like people that is like super engaged with the project. So they need to be able like to understand your times, understand your needs, and play as a partner. So I would say that, and that's how why I always stress that how important this network is. Because if you are just going to find like a random partner somewhere that maybe has like the idea and machines, but you are just an email in his invoice, it's just not gonna happen. So you need to build that trust so you can both boost.
Yeah, I think also that's a really good point to kind of team up with a potential producer and share visions and goals in the end, make them as a partner and not just as a producer and nothing more, because in the end you need the knowledge of every member of the journey.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. I'm also going to share this with the startups that we regularly talk to. But here's a question to Facundo in the chat. I am going to read this to you.
Okay.
Are you focusing mainly on health applications, or could you imagine having your inflatable technology also in another context?
Well, great. Thank you for the question. So we did started mainly focus on health, and the idea was to have like a device that can help mainly the elderly to move. But we learned that several things. Like on the one hand, that it was much more interesting to work in well-being rather than in health. So we want to. I think that that's a line that we should try to make disappear, because health products a lot of time focus more on or only on the physical condition, but not on the emotional side of the problem. So and we saw that it has to do with that, and that was like the fashion aspect was important. Today we say that we work with everything that is body near, so it could be health, but it can also be sport or can be well-being. But as we start developing like this know-how on the shape-changing textiles, then opportunities appears. And then, for example, we're rolling up a first project with Porsche, where we can apply like our technology for interiors of cars, and that was totally impossible to imagine 1 year ago. But then when you present to the people like the different possibilities of what you can do with the technology, sometimes they can bring with a new idea you could never thought of.
Thanks for sharing. We are running out of time, but I would like to add one more question, if you allow. So obviously the TPL creates a whole holistic support infrastructure for entrepreneurs and researchers to actually do research and find out the best possible result for their concept, or also co-create the concept together with you and other partners. But if you could make a wish, is there something missing or lacking in this support infrastructure? I could think of, I don't know, access to investment or whatsoever.
Yes, there is a lack since we are such an holistic, or we try to be an holistic concept and think into different angles and not be closed for a specific user groups. We have often the problem that we don't really fit in one specific finance corner, I would say. Also, we are now in this transit phase, so we have to found our own organization. And there also, if you are a group of different institutions, it's not a common way. So that's the really challenging part we have at the TPL now, to make the bridge, do the find finance versions also.
Yeah. So also the design of those support programs need to be iterated or rethought probably. Facundo, if you could make a wish now, your 1 minute of fame is up now. If you see anything that's lacking in this support infrastructure, what would you wish for?
No, I think you touched the 2 points that are more important. Like one of that will be to add the possibility of financial resources, so you can apply for money, and that actually does exist, but it's what you say is like highly bureaucratic, and generally it's like the amount of effort you need to put to that and how it's structured sometimes it's like not worth it, because you spend like 6 months writing a proposal, then 6 months to get approved, and then it goes in a time of 2 years where you need to know like how you're going to spend every cent, and sometimes it's like just like not matching the race you're running. So it's like I know that it's happening. There are like every time more and more like programs that are more flexible and fit better this kind of like very dynamic and out of the box. And I think it's like exactly what Karina said. Normally we don't fit in any category because you're not this one thing nor the other. You're kind of like, because of being holistic, you're in between everything. So we need these flexible institutions, let's say.
Wonderful, well noted. So thank you everyone. Thank you, dear panelists, for sharing your journey and your results. Thanks to the audience also for joining this presentations and this discussion. And Facundo and Karina, please keep up the good work. We will surely follow what is coming next. And for everyone else here, hope to see you at 2:30 at the final session, and also a warm invitation to reach out to follow on the conversation and exchange contact details. Thank you very much.
Thank you also, Marta, for the nice moderation. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Talk soon.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.